Welcome to Best Friends in Franchising. I'm Morgan Knoller.
And I'm Catherine Allen.
If you're interested in franchising a new opportunity or diversifying your portfolio, you've come to the right place. We talk money, mindset, and everything in between. Let's dive in. All right, today we're talking to Chloe Bennett, Vice President of Franchise Development at T-Box. And here's what makes Chloe different. She's not just selling franchises, she owns one, just like Catherine and I. And Chloe and her husband own multiple units of Crumbl Cookies. She is walking prospects through what franchise ownership actually looks like. She's speaking from experience, and she knows what it's like to sign that FDD, write that check, open the doors, and figure out how to make it all work. So today we're digging into what buyers really want to know, what questions they're afraid to ask, and how Chloe might help them figure out if T-Box is the right move. Welcome, Chloe.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thanks for coming on. We're so excited to have you on. And Morgan, thank you for that wonderful introduction. So much to unpack here. Chloe, for our listeners out there who don't know what T-Box is, will you talk to us about the franchise model and what makes it so attractive?
Yes. So T-Box is a place that you can go to get better at golf. So we have incredible training. We have something called TPI certifications, Titleist Performance Institute, where we're analyzing your body. We're looking at your strength, mobility, if you have any physical limitations. So an example I really like to use is there's about 40 million videos online to get better at the game of golf, for you to get better at the game of golf. The only issue is if you don't have the same mobility, the same flexibility, you're not going to get the same outcome. So what we do is we bring you through about a 15-minute TPI certification. We're able to look at those factors for your body and give you a customized program. Not only a customized program, but something that's great about the franchise model is we really have one key employee. With that one key employee, you're experiencing lower overhead and also an employee who wants to be there. Golf professionals, they want to find that place to golf. They're not competing with really early sessions, the weather, there's a place, there's air conditioned, they're excited to be there, they're ready to be there. So in about 15 minutes, we give you that customized experience, and then you work with the Box Pro to get better at the game of golf. So it's truly incredible what we've been able to do.
And as a Crumbl Cookie franchise owner and a successful one at that, what do you see with franchise systems that you like? And, you know, when it comes to operating one of these and owning one and the top performers, what personality traits or skills are you seeing that you're looking for or that those top performers have?
Yeah, so something at T-Box that we like to go by are the 3 C's. So we go by coaching, club, community. So the reason being is we want someone who's coachable, who likes getting coached. And that's really just a baseline of being able to improve, to get that feedback and improve where you can improve. And then community, I think, really speaks for itself. We love people who they want to be involved in their community, something that we really pride ourselves in, that we're very community driven. We work with a lot of the high schools, we work with a lot of colleges and just people who want to get better at the game of golf. So those are really the 3 factors that we're looking for.
And what would you say, I'm just curious, what's your youngest players that you have coming in? You mentioned high school.
Yeah.
How young do you go? Like how I could see a father, son, mother's, like, I don't know. Do you have anything for younger kids? And if so, what age?
We do. We have some 5 years old who frequent our facility. So we do have the cutest little clubs for them. I have a 4-year-old and he has them. So with that being said, the really cool thing about what we're targeting is there's no age demographic who primarily utilizes our facility. So we have people from 5 years old all the way to 95 years old. And the cool thing about T-Box is we meet people at their skill level. 4 or 5 to, and I would say about 5 to 10 years old who visit our locations, we really just want to familiarize them about golf. So the way that we do that is we use TrackMan simulators. We're going to go ahead and set them up with more so games or just lighthearted things to get them excited to come back to our facility. We have groups who are 95 years old who come joining us, and the reason why they like to play at our facility is they're just with their friends. It's not time sensitive that they need to play a game. So they can just enjoy themselves. But we do have those more serious golfers who they want to play in bigger tournaments, or they want to join their high school team, or even just business professionals who understand that a lot of, I guess you could say, business deals are done on the golf course. And so they want to be taken seriously. So they know they need to up their skill level, and they come do that at T-Box.
And you shared a story with Morgan and I, which I thought was so fun when we were asking about the demographics. And you talked about the moms and the sons. Talk to us about that.
Yes. So we actually, in the morning, I would say the demographic more depends on the hour of the day. So earlier in the morning, from about 6 to 7, we have a lot of moms who use our cardio equipment or even just our other workout equipment while their kids who can't drive yet are at our simulators. So it's something that's great for families and to really knock out two birds with one stone.
That's great. So when you're talking to prospects, I feel like the demand is there for this concept, and it is exploding nationwide. Obviously, T-Box, there's the back nine, the golf crypt. When you're talking to prospects who are evaluating multiple of these golf concepts, right? What's the moment they lean in on T-Box?
Yes. So we are a training facility. We are not a golf simulator. So we're a training facility where you can come train like the professionals. So we have the simulators. We specifically like to use TrackMan simulators. The reason being is that technology was actually created to track missiles. So if you can track missiles with that technology, that tells you how close they are to tracking your golf ball. We also have our putting green. About 75% of your golf game is your short game. So we want to make sure that people are utilizing that, but also so many people come to our facility, and the biggest question is the gym. The gym is so important because you're working on your flexibility, you're working on your mobility, your strength. There's so much that goes into getting better at the game of golf, and everything you need to get better is at T-Box. So we really utilize every aspect to help get your golf game to where it needs to be.
I really like that you just said that, because I don't think I would have thought about golf in that way. Sometimes I think it's not to say like very competitive sport. It obviously is, but I think of like all of the friends and family that I know that love golf. I don't hear them really talking about going to the gym to get better or perfect their swing. So I think that's brilliant that T-Box does that and really focuses on how you can get better, but inside a fitness facility too, not just golf simulators and working with the pros. So there are some of these other places that do the simulators and things like that. I see that owners are golf pros. To own a T-Box, though, it doesn't sound like you would need to have a huge golf background or experience. Is that true, would you say?
Yeah, not at all. We have people, the coolest thing about my role is that I meet people from all walks of life. There's people who they own car businesses. They own, they're lawyers, they're accountants. They've worked for themselves for 20 years and they're finally ready to jump in and do something for themselves. Or they've even been previous operators or have owned franchise locations prior. But the really cool thing is you have people who come in, they want to really help their community where, I know we've talked a little bit about we all have kids, and there's nothing that a parent won't do to make sure that their kid has the best life. So if you think about it, any sport you can think of, dance. I know what I need to do if I want to be on Dancing with the Stars. And, that's, you need to go to center stage. And I only speak to that because a lot of the dance professionals are from Utah. Or if you want to be a college athlete, this is what you need to do. But nothing has been created like that for golf until T-Box. So prior to that, it's been very inaccessible, unattainable, really expensive to get better at the game of golf. And really one of the best things that happened during COVID was golf. And it just really almost rebirthed this sport where now it's not as uptight, but it's more accessible, and people really just enjoyed it for multiple reasons. And we just want to make sure that people have that accessibility within their community to get better at the game of golf.
I think that's great. And we belong to a country club that we're social members, but many of our friends are golf members. But even in a country club setting, there's not like the technology piece that you're talking about. Just I think that in the gym, does the box, what do you call it? The box coach? Box coach.
Box Pro.
Sorry, Box Pro.
Yes.
Is he train to set up kind of like a personal trainer would at a gym. Say, okay, Chloe, he does all the assessments of you. Here's my program for you in the gym to improve your mobility. Is that part of what that Box Pro is doing?
Exactly. So
Okay.
when we come in and do that TPI training with you, and we have an amazing AI that we're actually building that we've created. So we're going to do those with you. You can actually work with the Box Pro specifically, but we also have an app. Everything on our app, you can go ahead and look at that and see what your training is from Sunday to Saturday. So you're not having to rely solely on the Box Pro, but you're able to say, oh, these are my stretches for Monday. Now I need to do some weightlifting on Tuesday. I'm going to do, work on my legs on Wednesday. So everything is set up and extremely accessible through our app.
Oh, I love that. I love that because I feel like so much of working out is just like accountability and
Yes.
having that at your fingertips with your phone that all of us have at our fingertips. That's nice that it kind of programs that for you. And a question I had, I was telling my husband about this on our walk yesterday because he's a huge golfer, loves golf. And I was
Yeah.
explaining the concept and I was saying if it came to our area, would you sign up as a member? And his question was a good one, and I didn't know the answer. And he said, well, what if it gets really busy? If there's like on the app, do people reserve times? How does that work?
Yes. So it's all reserve times. So people
Okay.
know, when they can come. So there's about 3 to 4 bays per facility, and it's at 2 hours per booking time. So you can book an hour, but typically people book about 2 hours with us. And then it's different to book on the simulators as it is to book at the gym. So you
Okay.
know when you can go, it's your dedicated time. And then with being too busy, what a great problem to have. And that's probably when we need to look at building another T box in a bordering territory.
So, perfect segue. Talk to us
Yeah.
about your territory size and how do you design territories and right, what is that kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Strategy for expansion and scaling.
Yeah. So our territory size is anywhere from about 100,000 to 150,000 people. Being a newer franchise organization, we are really looking at that 150,000 mark. Just we're saying thank you to everyone for taking a chance on us. We're going to do the best we can, but here's some more territory. With that being said, we're primarily looking at schools, high schools, private schools, colleges within that said territory. The reason being is just some of our low hanging fruits are going to be the golfers at said schools. So we actually have amazing kickback programs for all of our golfers for the so with that being said, I can really just jump into what that looks like. So our kickback program is that anyone who is on someone's golf team can sign up. So a lot of the time when people donate to schools, it's going to go straight to the football team, which is great unless you want it to go to the golf team. So what we do is about 10% of your membership, you can actually opt in for that to going to a said school. So something that's been really cool is we did have one of our franchise owners, he is a golf coach at one of the high schools that he works at. He was able to buy all of the kids golf bags, which was such a crazy experience for them to all have matching golf bags. Then just what a good experience as a parent to say, wow, like my money that I'm putting towards getting my kid better is now also buying them really awesome stuff and just making them feel like more a part of a community. And it's just more exciting as a parent perspective, in my opinion.
I love that. And as you know, Morgan and I are both soccer stars owners, and we
Yeah.
work a ton with schools. When you're giving back in that way, which is wonderful, I'm sure they feel good about promoting the program in return, promoting
Yes.
T-Box. It's a win-win on both sides, I think.
It really is. It's just an easy segue, and you want not only your kid but other kids to learn about it and to just give back to your school. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, that's most of the schools that I give back to are putting turf in. That's like the equivalent for yes, soccer. They upgrade their facilities for the preschools and things like that. But I would have loved to have a matching golf bag. It would have made me feel, I think, more part of the team at the time.
Yeah.
Catherine and I were on the golf team. I think I liked eating the French fries more than the golf, but I did enjoy it. It was a beautiful
I
thing.
was there for the girl talk. Let's be real.
But again, how much easier would it have been to be at a tee box where you can see your stats and then also be closer to have those better non-interrupted conversations. So I feel like
Absolutely.
a tee box really would have done you guys good.
I think so too.
It would have actually improved our game probably a lot.
Probably.
Yeah,
Probably.
I love that.
So for an owner that wants to build like a T box empire, like wants to go big with this, and it's
Yeah.
one location per territory typically, how would they expand into another location? And do you have anyone that's done that so far?
So not yet, but they're actually working on it. So we do have a few multi-unit franchisors within our organization. We want you to have an LOI about 6 months after every opening that you have. So once you open, 6 months later, we want just an LOI for a lease agreement that you're going to be signing. And then the build out, it's about 3 to 4 months after you sign. So we can do it in 120 days for once you sign your location to build out and everything that you need. That's a really short time period, but in about 6 months, we want you to have another lease agreement going.
That makes sense. And what is the initial investment for a T box franchise?
So our item 7, I like to round up if that's okay. It's 500 to 800,000, and that's an all-in investment. So that's your build out, that's your lease for a few months. That is going to be all of your equipment, your TrackMan simulators, your putting green, your gym equipment. So everything you need to be up and operational is in our item 7 for the $500 to $800,000.
That's really good. I keep forgetting as we're talking, but I don't want to miss talking about this because my husband's very tall. Over 6'4" is like very difficult to find golf clubs. And something T-Box does that I just want to make sure listeners know is that they can fit you for your clubs. And I can't remember that lead time, like from the time you get fitted to the time the clubs arrive. What does that look like?
So it's quick. So a little bit about our technology. We've actually created our own AI technology called Forge. With Forge, so anyone who's gotten fitted for clubs previously knows it's about a 2-hour long experience, and it's a full workout. You are hitting hard. It's intense. So with our Forge technology, we are able to fit someone in only 40, which you have your box professional and then AI technology. For a consumer level perspective, I feel a lot better investing $4,000 to $6,000 with two forms of professionals telling me this is correct over just a box pro who still at the end of the day is incentivized to sell me what's going to make them the most commission. So it makes me feel a lot better and a lot of our consumers and customers to feel a lot better about our offering.
I completely agree with that. It's an investment. I mean, golf clubs are not cheap. So if you're going to invest in this game and you're going to invest in a new set of clubs, you absolutely want to feel secure in that purchase, and knowing that technology is behind it, I think helps everybody.
Yes. But again, you're working with a box professional who knows you, they know your game, they know your goals. So there's so many people who they go with the bigger brands for Callaway and Titleist, and then we introduce them to Surixon or Wilson or Pink, just another company that really is more suitable for their body type, but they were never introduced to. So we're able to just add that many more yards onto their game by setting them up with the correct equipment.
That's great. And being that golf is so technical, I'm sure it really matters, like having that appropriate fit. So that's great.
Yes.
Okay, so I've gone through the process. So you and I have been talking. I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy a tee box. And I signed the dotted line. Walk us through those next 3 months, like those next 90 days. What does it look like for a new franchise owner?
So after you're done working with myself or a member on my team, you're going to be set up with our operations team. We have something called a yardage book that is everything you need to know about next steps. So even when you need to get permits, when you need to order specific equipment, when you need to talk with your city, everything you need is in this said yardage book. So not only are you having consistent conversations with our operations team, but you do have a list that if you prefer one of us to hold your hands the entire way, we're more than happy to do that. But it's an itemized checklist of everything you need to get started. So when to turn marketing on, when to hire a box pro, how to hire a box pro, everything you need is in our yardage book, which is a play on words, but It's an incredible system.
That's great. And is there in-person training as a part of this playbook, or is it
Yes.
virtual, or what does that look like?
So primarily we're going to do about 75% virtual, and then the remaining 25% we'll have you come into our headquarters in Centerville, Utah, and really just quiz you on everything that you've learned and make sure that you're ready to open your doors. So everything we've done virtually with you, we're going to do in person, but now it's our franchisees are really training our operations team, because we believe that if you can teach it, you know it.
And after that step, so now they're running and operating the T box. The typical question that we get asked all the time is like, how involved in the business do I need to be? Like, can I keep my other job? Can this be semi-absentee? Can I hire a general manager? Do you get those questions? And is that part of T-Box, or do you recommend owner operator? You're in the business, you need to work on it.
So something that I like to tell people is you're going to get out of it what you put into it. So the best example is your box pro is really running the day to day, but as an owner, I think anyone who says you can be completely absentee and not do anything for the first 8 months to year is really setting you up for failure. And that's off of personal experience. You are, working those 60 plus hours a week, but it's also for yourself. So once you're able to really get in that rhythm of, I know how to operate my business, I know how to work successfully with my box pro, I feel a lot better about scaling back a little bit and giving my box pro really just everything they need to be successful. So I like to tell people, realistically, plan for your first 8 months to be a little bit crazy. But once you've been able to experience those first 8 months, you could scale back and be more owner operator, but that completely depends on the person.
It's a great answer. I like that. I mean, I definitely don't feel like the first year of Soccer Stars, we couldn't have stepped away. I don't think, but we can't now for sure. Like, we know what needs to operate without us and when we need to step in. But I agree that the first year, I think we usually go to 18 months. Typically, we'll like those first 18 months, really please work the business and understand it fully so that you can hire the right person to come in.
100%. Yeah, and know if you need a pivot in a different box pro. If you guys aren't collaborating in a successful manner, then it's okay to find someone who really works well with you. So I think that's very realistic and a huge red flag if anyone says you can come in and step out. You need to be involved as much as you possibly can.
And in my mind, how can you, if you don't fully understand the business, then how can you hire well? How can you manage someone? How can you delegate? It just doesn't make sense how that would really work successfully. To your point, I also agree. It's just getting in there, fully understanding the business. And I think that T-Box is a pretty simple model, which is great.
Yeah.
And so you probably can step back a little more quickly than more I have been able to, which is fine. I mean, it's just different. And so that's where the franchise fit match and the conversations that we're guiding people, that's why there's so many great franchises out there for all different types of personalities and goals and things like that. So next question for you. How does the T-Box marketing team help new owners build awareness around the brand in their local community and also drive new memberships?
Yeah. So that is just multiple ways. So one of the biggest ways that we've already really talked about was coming in and working with your community for anyone who does play golf at a high school, college level. But with that being said, we love corporations. Corporations love us. This is a place that you're not only going to get better at something, but it's a great place to just better yourself. So a lot of corporations just relate really well to what we're doing. With that being said, we do have a whole book of anything you need for marketing that you can go ahead and use and then really just change your verbiage for your specific location. But then we really work with you on a bigger level of working with Meta and just Google Ads, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and there's just a lot of collaboration back and forth, but we have just best practices that we like to use that we think work really well with ourselves. But something we really like to encourage is all of our franchisees meet once a week together and just talk about best practices as well. We have a corporate level that we want you to market at, but you really can hit the ground running at your specific level. So we encourage all of it. And we do a lot of marketing is what I like to say.
That's excellent, because it's not my specialty, not my background. I think we've talked about it here before, but I need the marketing, I need the help, I need the support, I need corporate to tell me what ads I'm supposed to be placing where. And so it's wonderful that you do that, because if I were to buy a tea box tomorrow, that would be my first question is, can you help me with the marketing?
Yeah, no, and it's a big question as well. Marketing is tricky.
And there's so much, there's a big learning curve, right? As a new owner, when you're a new owner, you're learning the business, you're learning the industry. Because probably most of your owners aren't pro golfers, or I don't know.
Yeah.
So you're learning that, and then just operating a business. I mean, we're all business owners here on the podcast. And for me, that was one of the biggest things that I found so challenging was in a given day. I came from marketing. So my world was marketing. Marketing can be many things, but
Yeah.
marketing, communication, whatever. But then the whole, like the financial piece, the legal piece, forming the business. And then in a given day, you're going from marketing to business development, to operations, to employee recruitment. And there's just so many hats you're wearing as a new business owner. Of course, the beauty of a franchise is the systems are in place and you have support and you have accountability buddies, and that sets you up for success. But when you're new, it's overwhelming. It's a lot. It's a lot. But rest assured, you have a good team. And that's why you want to have a good partner like T-Box that is going to help you succeed.
Yeah, 100%.
So those listening, starting the franchise search. So you're franchise owner. You also are here with T-Box. What are some of the red flags that you would recommend looking out for when people are researching different franchises? Is it like the systems that they should be paying attention to? Or what do you recommend looking for that's a red flag to you?
Yeah, a few things. I think competing on territory is always a big just no-go in my eyes. I would say, if they can just change territory size on you, or if you can build multiple locations even within your brand, I think that can be a little bit confusing, because what if you own a specific place and then you do have another franchisor who owns or opens up a tea box 5-10 minutes away from you? I think that's where things get a little bit tricky. So I would say that make sure that you really like who you're investing in. Your leadership team, the executives, it's a 10-year relationship. So think of it as even a marriage, if you will. Is this someone I want to do business with? How do they communicate? Can we have those hard conversations together? Are they open for those hard conversations together? So those are, I think, my biggest red flags. I think a lot of it really does depend on the franchisee, where at the end of the day, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to be successful. Even in Crumbl, if I need to knock on every door within my territory, I'm not beneath that. So I think as an owner, just knowing that, even for starters, you're not beneath anything you do. It's, for me, it's washing the dishes, taking the garbages out, all of those things. I know how to run my entire Crumbl Cookie,
empire,
I guess, territory. Yes. And again, it's nothing's below me. If you're at T-Box, if you're washing toilets with your Box Pro, and that sounds so silly, but I think there's people who come in and they say, I'm going to run this whole thing, but I'm not okay to just do every aspect of their work. And you need to. It's not realistic to own part of your business, but not another part of your business, because at the end of the day, it comes down to I'm the business owner who's in charge of making sure things are executed and accomplished at the end of the day.
I think that's so right. I think that especially my new hires, if I come in and I'm down low coaching with them at a preschooler, checking in and saying hi, but I'm not watching from the corner, I'm like in it with them and supporting them, I feel that they get fired up too. They get excited, and like all of a sudden their energy is a little bit elevated. I see that they're working a little bit harder. So I think as an owner, just showing that you are no jobs beneath you. I love that. I think that's brilliant. And then the red flags you talked about, I vetted 7 different franchises before Soccer Stars, and there were some calls that I was on. And like you said, I really just could not wrap my head around being on a weekly call with those people. And it just was hard to even listen to. And then you get in Soccer Stars, everyone's smiling and happy and supportive, and the communication was excellent. So I think you're absolutely right. And I listened to some of those red flags when I was looking at different franchises, and one of them is no longer around, which is interesting. It was the one that I liked the least. So listen to those gut instincts.
Yeah.
But you really, the validation calls, that's what you're talking about, Morgan. And I remember talking with Morgan, and you're like, these people sound miserable. They sound
So much.
so unhappy. And think about it from the franchisor seat, Chloe. You're like, I'm doing a validation call for Soccer Stars today at 2. Like, they asked me to do
Yeah.
it. Who you're putting out there, you choose them. So if that's the best they've got, and like Morgan, I remember very clear as day, and you're like, Catherine, they sound so unhappy and miserable. And
And
so
honest
that's
about
why
it.
validation calls are so
Yeah.
important, right?
Even on
Because
my heart toughest soccer day during a validation call, I still would, sugarcoat it. I just, if you're not even sugarcoating it on the validation call, that's not a great sign.
Yeah, that's bad. That's a huge red
is that
flag.
the one that's not around anymore? Is
It's
it
the
that one?
restoration one. Yeah, that's not around
Okay.
anymore.
What
Yep.
would Chloe, what would you say is the most common misconception you get from people about franchising?
I think that people think franchising isn't owning your own business. And that's something I have a really hard time with. I think the really cool thing about franchising is it's a plug and play, where if you can follow systems with your own spin on it, that's where people really thrive in a franchise organization. But if you think about it, almost everything is a franchise. You think of hotels, the food industry, everything. And it's just a plug and play system that you just have really the chance to operate it better and do it better than, for yourself. And I think and I guess what I'm getting down to, it really depends on your personality, where it's, hey, now not only do I have a tried and true proven business model, but I also have a whole organization behind me at corporate, but other franchisors who I have some great friends of, hey, something goes wrong, I can give them a call and hear how they've dealt with this, or just my network expands just so broadly. And it's cool to see. So I love franchising. It's changed mine and my family's life. And I think franchising is an incredible thing, but definitely have those calls and make sure you're getting into franchise that works specifically for you.
I think we all agree that's what we love so much about franchising. You could start your business
Yeah.
tomorrow, but you probably won't grow it and scale it as fast, and you won't have a whole corporate team behind you, people that you can call for advice or troubleshoot
Yeah.
or other franchisees to do those weekly calls like you're talking about with the T-Box franchise owners. You won't have all of that. It would just be you alone.
Yeah.
Business,
Yeah.
which is way scarier in my mind. I would much rather buy a franchise.
Yeah, and
Yeah. It could get lonely.
yeah, it definitely, entrepreneurship can be very lonely, which is why I love franchising. And I do get those questions too of, hear the hesitancy, like, oh, if I buy into a franchise, I can't really make it my own. I have,
Yeah.
there's no, like, wiggle room, no, it has to be a certain way, right? But
Yeah.
I feel like, again, I think that's why you want to get a good franchise partner, because I feel like Soccer Stars, yes, there's our way of doing things, but you make it your own. I mean, you got to bring it to life. And Morgan and I talk about, how I run my business is how Morgan runs her business is pretty different, but it's perfectly suited to each of our personalities, and we're both thriving and doing well. And so I don't know. What you're buying into is what you said, which is the proven business model, the systems, having the
Yeah.
support, but then you do get it. You do get to make it your own. You do.
Yeah.
I believe.
Now, is T-Box in California? Are they registered here yet?
We are registered in California. So we have 2 locations that we're building out currently. So hopefully we'll have in Pasadena and Carlsbad, California. So hopefully those will be open soon, but we would love to open as many as we can in California, because I think that is a wonderful state. I own my Crumbl Cookies in San Diego. So huge fan.
Yes, San Diego's beautiful.
Yeah.
Definitely beautiful. So you've been in franchising long enough to know the difference, Chloe, between a brand that's just selling units and a brand that's actually building something that lasts. As someone who sits in franchise development and owns a franchise yourself, multiple,
Yeah.
what excites you most about T-Box right now?
I've been at T-Box for a full calendar year. And I think something that I'm most impressed with is that we're not just thinking a year out, but we're also thinking 5 to 10 years out. So I love seeing, even when people have calls with your executive team, what are your long and short-term goals? I think is a very great question to ask. But so many decisions that we make, it's not only for us, but it's with our franchisees in mind. So that's been something that I am really excited about. I think something else that's really cool is I everyone who I've sold a franchise to has my number and they call me. And that's kind of scary when you just let people have your number, that if I think I was selling something that was, dishonest or setting them up in a bad situation, they could call me and give me, be like, why did you ruin my life? Why did you do that? So even for myself, I don't take that lightly. I want to make sure that I'm setting people up for as much success as possible. And that when you do give me a call, it's, hey, what would you do in this situation? Can I expect out of this? And it's a positive conversation where a lot of these people do call me and I'm never worried to pick up their phone call because I know that what we have is great and I'm betting on it. So, and again, there's so much that goes into a successful franchise organization, but they care. T-Box cares, the executive team, they care. They're new to franchising, but they really are a good group of people who are extremely honest, in my opinion, and just want what's best for people. And even just placing yourself in an organization like that where they're just betting on you is a good place to be.
Chloe, thank you so much for joining us. And it was so fun to hear all about T-Box. For our listeners out there, if anyone is interested in exploring T-Box in your own market, you can go to thefranchiseinsiders.com and you can connect with Morgan or myself. And we're happy to answer any questions about this amazing concept and make the introduction to Chloe if it's a good fit for you. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
For those of you listening, if you have any questions or are interested in franchising, please go to thefranchiseinsiders.com. You can find more information about Morgan and myself, and we'll see everyone next week.
Thank you.
Bye.